Welcome to Module 4. In this session, we'll focus on how to work with your partner to draft a prenuptial agreement that reflects both of your needs. A prenup should never feel like one person is dictating terms to the other. It's about mutual respect and collaboration. By the end of this module, you'll understand how to include your partner in the process from start to finish, how to negotiate terms fairly, and the importance of involving professionals to ensure everything is legally sound. The best way to ensure that a prenup doesn't cause friction is to invite your partner into the process early on. This isn't just about you, it's about both of you. Here's how to make sure the entire process feels collaborative. Right from the beginning, make it clear that the prenup is something you want to work on together. Rather than presenting a ready-made document or a list of demands, let your partner know you see this as a team effort. You might say something like, "I think it's important that we both feel good about this prenup. Let's sit down together and talk about what we both want and need out of it. We can work through everything as a team." This gives your partner a voice in the process, making it feel like a shared decision rather than something being imposed on them. In California, both parties should have their own attorney. However, good attorneys who are qualified at doing prenups are very experienced in how to make this process collaborative. But what will set the tone for just how collaborative it will be is the conversation you and your partner are having with each other, which is why we have focused so much on that. So when this comes up of hiring attorneys, you could say something like, "We should both feel comfortable with the terms, and I think working with attorneys will help make sure everything is fair and clear. They can guide us so that we're both protected." This takes some of the personal pressure off the conversation and shifts it to a more structured, objective process. It also reassures your partner that this isn't just about your needs, it's about creating a fair agreement for both of you. I will also add that as an attorney who has done hundreds of prenups, I am very happy to be the fall guy for something that is really beneficial to my client that might feel offensive to the other party. Now, let's talk about how to actually draft the prenup together. A balanced prenup doesn't just protect one person, it takes both partners' needs into account. Here's how to approach that balance. When negotiating the key terms of a prenup, it's important to be flexible and open to compromise. Both of you should feel comfortable with the final agreement. Some of the key areas to discuss include division of property, and I would add characterization of property. How will property be characterized as you acquire it, and how will you handle property you each bring into the marriage versus property acquired during the marriage? Next, debt responsibilities. If either of you has significant debts, how will those be handled, and how are we going to characterize any debt that is incurred during the marriage? And lastly, spousal support. Will one partner be entitled to spousal support in the event of a divorce, and under what circumstances? When you approach these topics, make sure to frame it in a way that shows your willingness to protect both parties. For example, you might say, "I want to make sure this agreement protects you as well as me. Let's talk about what's important to both of us so we can create terms that feel fair." A fair prenup should reflect the interests of both parties. This means avoiding one-sided terms that might favor one person at the expense of the other. Both partners should feel secure knowing their rights and responsibilities are clearly defined. You can emphasize this by saying, "I don't want this to feel like it's only about me. This prenup is about making sure we both feel protected and have a clear understanding of what's fair. Let's go through it together, and if there's anything you're uncomfortable with, we can talk about it." This approach makes it clear that the agreement is not just a protective shield for one partner, but a collaborative document that ensures fairness for both. It's also important to remember that life changes, and a prenup should be flexible enough to evolve with your circumstances. Many prenups can be revisited and revised as your situation changes. For this, you might say, "We can also include terms that allow us to revisit this agreement in the future. If things change, like if we start a business together or our financial situation shifts, we can update the prenup to reflect that." This reassures your partner that the agreement isn't set in stone and can be adjusted as life evolves, which can reduce anxiety about feeling locked into rigid terms. Let's talk more specifically about the role that attorneys or lawyers can play in this process. The goal is to make sure that everything is fair, legal, and enforceable. When it comes to drafting the actual prenup, you most likely need legal representation. Each partner should have their own attorney to ensure their interests are fully represented. This helps avoid any appearance of unfairness and make sure that the agreement holds up in court. You could explain this to your partner by saying, "We should each have our own lawyer to make sure the prenup is fair for both of us. That way we can both feel confident that our interests are protected." You could also add that California requires you to have independent attorneys. Having separate attorneys also ensures that neither party feels pressured or taken advantage of, making the process more transparent and equitable. The most important thing to remember when drafting a prenup is that collaboration is key. By involving your partner in every step of the process, working together with attorneys, and making sure the terms reflect the needs of both parties, you can create an agreement that feels fair and balanced. Always remember to invite your partner into the process from the beginning, work together with your attorneys, and assure the terms protect both of you and allow for flexibility as your life changes. Next, in our final module, we'll go over how to finalize the prenup and make sure both parties feel confident moving forward with the agreement.